Good morning, learners. Welcome to the exciting world of tourism. Today, we are going to discuss about tour operator with a focus on overview and his functions. So, the objectives of this study, after this presentation, you would be able to understand what is the tour operator, what are the processes to consider while setting a tour company, what are the functions of a tour operator. Here, we will discuss the first three functions of a tour operator, that are product knowledge and packaging, costing a tour package, and issuing of vouchers. So, before I proceed, let us understand who is a tour operator. A tour operator is basically a person who packages together a series of travel services. We may also say components, which includes transportation, airport transfers, accommodation, excursions and sightseeing, besides guide services or any other services as requested by the tourist. He may be called as a wholesaler and a manufacturer sometimes. The product which comes out after assembling all these services together is known as a package tour. Friends, we must understand that many a times the tourist, he may ask for a package when he wants to visit a destination. So the person whom he approaches to make all his travel arrangements, in fact a person who facilitates all his travel arrangements by putting them together, is called as a tour operator. He may club all the individual components and then he may sell it to the tourist for their consumption. Generally, the tour operator buys these services in bulk from the principal suppliers to form a package. Now we need to understand who are the principal suppliers. Principal suppliers are basically the airlines, the hotels, or any other organization, maybe an entertainment organization, from where the tourist clubs all the inventory. It could be the rooms of a hotel, it could be the seats of an airline, it could be the seats of a coach, and then he clubs them together and he sells them as a package tour. As he buys these things in bulk, he may also be called as a wholesaler. I am also using the word manufacturer here. Why? Because sometimes he also owns his own products. For example, many companies like Thomas Cook, they have their own Volvo, they have their own coaches for taking the tourists to on sightseeing tours. So that's why we may say sometimes when they buy, they may also run their own hotels. Example, Southern Travels, it runs its own hotels. So that is why sometimes they are also called as manufacturer, as they may own a tourism product. The complete package of arrangements and services is then sold at an exclusive package price to clients through retail agents in the tourist generating markets. Basically, we call the tour operator as a wholesaler also, because he buys the things, he buys the inventory of tourism components in bulk, be it the airline seats, be it the hotel rooms. He buys them in bulk and he buys them well in advance of any tourist movement which is expected to be in the future. And what he does is he sells it at an exclusive package price, which is the combination of all the components put together. Now there are two choices. He may sell it directly to the tourist, or he may also sell it through the retail agents in the tourist generating markets. At the same time, it must be noted that a tour operator not only does package tour but also ensures the smooth operation of the tour. Obviously, this is very, very important, because the complete facilitation of the tour and it goes seamlessly and hassle-free for the guest is the core responsibility of the tour, who is organizing the tour. And he's not only organizing, he's putting everything together in a package and packaging it, and then he's selling it. And then not only that is his job, the packaging and selling, also comes his organizing and operational part, which is the very important part of his job responsibility. Now, there are many management issues in tour operations. Let us discuss some of them. Number one is the task to be performed for setting up a tour company. Definitely, this is a very big, complete setup of a management challenge for any tour operator who wants to establish himself as a novice in this trade. So, for him, setting up a tour company is a challenge. Again, marketing research and product, that is the tour package formulation. See, market research is the edifice of any good package tour. The tourist can only sell a good destination, and it can only sell like hot selling cakes if the product has been well researched, if the tour operator knows what is the potential of that destination, what it has to offer to the tourist, how different it is from the other destinations. So then only the tourist would be interested. If you're giving him something, like we say nowadays that the tourist wants cookie cutter itineraries, means that they want something different, out of the box. They want to indulge in different experiential itineraries. They don't want to just passively go and visit a destination. In fact, they want to go and feel the destination. They want to go and actually be a part of the locals' lifestyle, and they want to get the local feel. For that, you must have a very solid market research as a tour operator. Definitely, once you have done the research and you know what you want to sell, then comes the selling part, which is very, very challenging, because we say tourism is when somebody is buying a tourism package, it's a huge investment. Especially when we talk in terms of an outbound package, it is a huge investment. So here the tour operator, he has to adapt a lot of strategies to sell the product to the tourist. It could be using the electronic media, it could be using the print media, it could be using the social media, as nowadays this is the most used media preferred by the tour operators and also by the potential tourists who are looking for a tourist package. Likewise, organizing, monitoring and controlling the organization's manpower as well as tour operations, definitely, because taking care of the manpower is a major challenge for the tour operators. A tour operator is basically a large tour company which may have a staff ranging from 50 to 100, and or it could go to more staff depending upon the scale of its operations and its the departmentation which the tour operator has. And depending upon that, it would have the staff, and definitely it needs to be managed well. So this is also one of the challenge, as well as the tour operations, the complete operations of the tour. It should go seamlessly. Now, setting up a tour company, this is a very risky business, I must say. Why I'm saying this? Sometimes you don't know whether the tourists would like the product which you are offering or not, or whether because as a tour operator you would buy the things in bulk. As a tour operator, you will buy the airline seats, the hotel rooms, etc. Much in advance from the principal suppliers. And if you are failing in selling the package or the airline seats or the hotel rooms, there are fair chances that you will be involved in heavy losses. So hence, before setting up a tour company, we must be prepared to take the risk. So you have to be mentally prepared that at times your inventory might not be sold out fully, or sometimes it might happen that maybe there is a catastrophe, and whatever you were anticipating to sell a packet during a particular span of time, and due to the outbreak of a catastrophe, it could be an outbreak of a disease or it could be a natural calamity, the people are you are not able to sell the package, and the people are not able to buy the package from you, and as a result your complete the money which has been logged in the inventory will be a huge loss for you. That's why we say that sometimes it can be a risky proposition too. Similarly, a tour operator must be absolutely clear regarding the type of business to be handled. For example, would the company deal with inbound tours, outbound tours, domestic tours, or all of them or any two of them, etc. This should be decided at the planning stage itself while preparing the project report. What I mean to say is that a tour operator has a choice whether he wants to be an inbound tour operator, whether he wants to be an outbound tour operator who is taking the tourist from his country to another country, or whether he wants to be a domestic tour operator, he wants the tourist to deal with the tourist only within his country, or whether he wants to have two departments together or three departments together. So this all is his absolute his own choice, depending upon the scale of operations he wants to be into. Sometimes, what he does is that he may begin with domestic operations, getting the response he might also get into outbound, so likewise sometimes it is not necessary that you start with all the departments. You might start with one and then later on you might diversify. So the choice is yours, but these questions must be very clear at the very beginning of the conceptualization stage when you're planning to set up a tour company. So setting up a tour company, further, all companies, whether large or small, must fulfill certain minimum requirements like a proper financial base. Obviously, you must have the finances to invest in this project, to invest in this tourism business. You must have adequate premises. A good location is must. These days, because of the pandemic, we are all going online and everything is being operated from home only. Work from home is a new normal. However, but when we talk in tourism, we say seeing is believing. So tourists want to basically, before they take a tour package, they might like to visit the office of a tour operator and might like to meet the staff in person. So at that times, you need to have a good premises at a good location which is approachable for the tourist, where they can come and inquire about the packages, or if they have any thing in their mind, they can clarify with you. So adequate premises, a good location at a good place is a must. A trained and qualified staff. Obviously, we must have a good staff who is professional in their approach, who is knowledgeable, who is aware of what is happening around, who has an expertise in tourism trade. This is very important. He should not sound dumb when the tourist goes and he wants to take a consultancy or he wants to take an expertise, and the staff is not able to handle his query. So that will put a bad impression of the company. So as a tour operator, you must ensure that you have a very qualified and a very professional staff. Likewise, the government approvals are also a must. From time to time, the government keeps asking you to renew your licenses, or to keep on adding new things to not to qualify as a tour operator. So you must be abreast of the latest happenings. Being a tour operator from the government side, you must be in line with the government approvals, and an authority to sell on behalf of the industry or BRIC principles in return for commissions. And you must have the authority to sell whatever you want to sell, be it any tourism product like the seats, airline seats, or the hotel rooms. So you must have an authority, and in return you will sell it for the commissions. So going ahead with that, having adequate premises at a suitable location, as I said earlier also, is very important for starting a new venture. Many good travel companies, they have their offices in malls also. Like we have companies like Thomas Cook, LPTI, they have offices in malls. So, or Make My Trip also. So people prefer visiting the offices while they are on shopping spree, so they can go and inquire about the package. Likewise, a tour operator must be able to establish linkages with the principal suppliers, which may be the airlines, hotels, tourist transport operators, guides and escorts, etc., for the purpose of designing the package. Because this business is all about networking. So in being a tour operator, you cannot work in vacuum. You have to work in collaboration with various principal suppliers, with the airlines, with the railways, with the hotels, with the government, with the media. So with everyone you have to maintain a good relationship, a good linkage. For this, information has to be obtained for marketing purposes. Linkages have to be established with travel agents, tourism departments, etc. So as I said, for basically to keep on getting latest information, you also have to be abreast of what is happening around. So you have to maintain a good rapport with the government, it could be the Ministry of Tourism, as in case of India. It could be the state tourism departments, like we have the Delhi Tourism and Development Corporation, we have Gujarat Tourism Corporation of Gujarat Limited, example. So we have to also be aware of our other competitors, like other travel agents. We also have to keep an eye on them to be aware of what is happening around. What I'm trying to say here is that as a tour operator, you have to keep your eyes and ears open. You have to ensure that you are aware of what is happening around you. That is very important. In fact, the owner, manager of a tour operator company must attain all knowledge about the products and market conditions. This means having a proper understanding of tourism markets, tourism trends, tourism profiles, tourism forecasts, promotional strategies, trade linkages, travel regulations, and tourism products, etc. Besides, a tour operator, after 1 year of operations, must seek recognition from the Department of Tourism, Government of India. Now, let us understand the functioning of tour operator. Now, there are different functions of tour operator. So, let us delve into the first function, that is the product knowledge and packaging, which is a very, very important function. Within these categories, but before I make you understand what is the function of product knowledge and packaging, let me explain you the types of tour operators. Within these categories, we can further divide the tour operator into two categories. Mass market operators are those who offer routine packages which include travel, accommodation, and some services. Example is of Thomas Cook, LPTI, MMT, Make My Trip. What I'm trying to say is these companies sell very regular brochure products, regular tourism products, which are a combination of various travel components put together. So they are selling routine destinations. It could be international destinations, which are the most commercialized destinations. Like they are selling Europe. They are selling parts of Europe. They are selling USA packages. So they are selling the packages which are already taken by many people, the basic destinations. Likewise, we have the specialist tour operators who design their packages keeping in view the market segmentation of the customer. Now we have to understand such tour operators, they do not try to accommodate all the segments of the customers. They try to focus on particular segment. Here I have taken an example of Southern Travels. So this company focuses on the travelers who are basically from South. So all South Indian travelers is their key market. So they have their operations for such travelers, as they take care of the needs of such travelers, of South Indian travelers. Even when they're traveling to North India, they take care of their needs such as the food. They take care of the food habits. They have a cook who makes South Indian dishes. So basically they focus on one particular segment of market, that is South Indian market. So these are called as specialist tour operators. Another example is there are package tours which are created for adventure tourists. Like some companies are only for adventure tourism. For example, we have the Snow Leopard, then Flying Fox. Likewise, there are other companies which offer packages on wildlife tours such as Travel In, or some other design packages for particular age group also. Like there are companies which only sell packages for senior citizens, for pilgrimage tours. Likewise, some tour operators go for geographical segmentation and operate in a specific region only. For example, certain local tour operators may organize tours in their catchment areas only, or they may deal in only one or two countries. So the choice is yours, whether you want to be a mass tour operator who sells all kinds of packages. You have a second choice, whether you want to only cater to a particular segment of market, it could be adventure tourists, it could be senior citizens, or it could be wildlife tourists. Or you have a choice that you want to operate only in one territory, one area within your local area, or maybe you want to only sell the packages of only one country or two countries. So all these are your choices. Among the various categories, there are tour operators who specializes in selling specific type of these tourism products also, like accommodation, transportation and entertainment. So this is also one market. In fact, there is no end to imagination and creativity in designing special tours. After analyzing the demand, trends and attitudes, you may go in for any kind of packages. Nowadays, the most in thing is that tour operators are operating specialized interest tours. So what is that? They offer customized packages and they specially design and package tours on the request of the clients. So they will tailor made it according to what you want. A typical example in this regard could be of the following. A group of 15 archaeologists from United Kingdom intends to visit India. So I've taken this example. They want to have a feed of prominent archaeological sites and they are in the age group of 35 to 45. They place their request to a travel agency in UK and the travel agency passes on the request to a tour company in India. So the company has to get in touch with an archaeologist in India for the identification of the sites to be visited, what would be the modes of transportation for these sites, what accommodation would be provided. They would have to identify a tourist guide who specializes in archaeology. They would have to also couple the package with the different types of entertainment that could be provided to them during the evenings, the kind of meals which could be served there, and where they could be taken for shopping. So as a customized package, you have to really think very imaginatively and creatively, and you have to give them a package which would suit their requirement. So that is important. The first task here as a tour operator is to assess whether such a group you can handle as a company or not. In fact, after assessing these aspects only, the tour operator will package the different components and accept the offer. The tour operator can also think of providing in addition to a package by offering a book on archaeology to the group members, a visit to a museum from where the archaeological artifacts are kept, or taking them to a shopping emporium where they can buy such kind of artifacts and all. So basically what I'm trying to say here is that you have to think what else you can add as a value addition to the package which the tourist has asked for. He might have a particular set of things in his mind, but you can also be very imaginative and you can give him a very memorable experience of his lifetime. That is why he is hiring you as a tour operator, because you have an expertise, you are an expert in that local area and you know what is the best to showcase. Maybe it's an opportunity for you as a tour operator to showcase your heritage, your culture of your country. And when the tourist comes, if he sees this, he likes all this, he would like to repeat his visit with you, and that would also mean repeated business for you and an opportunity to grow for you as a tour operator. So you must ensure that you give freebies to the tourists when they are coming. So maybe they are not expecting something like as I just discussed in the example, you gave him a book on archaeology, or you took him to a museum, or you gave him some artifact, or you took him for a shopping spree. So this is something he would really appreciate and he would like to continue with you in the future also. It should be kept in mind that such requests ask for special efforts on the part of tour operator to package such customized tours for the group, and with a tinge of personal touch. That's what I told you. For the construction of any type of there are different considerations while product designing and packaging. So we will just go on with that. For the construction of any type of holiday package, market research is an essential component, as I discussed with you earlier also. And once the decision is taken regarding the type of business to be done, the tour operator must take into account the services that are to be packaged. At the same time, the tour operator must have a first-hand experience of the quality of the services which the principal suppliers offers, and this means field visits. Basically, you are buying the product. You don't have anything of your own as a tour operator. You are buying things and you are renting out, or you are arranging things for the tourists from the principal suppliers, who could be the airlines, who could be the hotels, and they could give you anything, and you could pass on the same thing to the tourists, which might not be a very good experience, or might not be a good product. So as a tour operator, you must actually take the first hand experience before selling that product to the tourist. For this, you must go in for field visits, which are also called as familiarization trips or FAM trips. So in tourism, these are very, very important, and generally these tours are at the cost of the principal suppliers, who themselves are looking for expanding their business. They will sponsor your trip, and they would allow you to experiment with their products and take your first hand experience. And if you like their product, you would buy their product and you would recommend the same product to the tourists, which would mean repeated business for these principal suppliers also. In fact, a tour operator should constantly update the knowledge about the destination in order to improve and redesign the package if necessary every year. It must be remembered that the packages are generally designed and sold at least a year in advance, as most of the tourists in the prominent tourist generating markets plan their holidays much in advance. This is more necessary because of the competition in the market. The product knowledge has to be always stored and regularly updated. Besides product knowledge, planning, organizing, monitoring, and control should be an inbuilt exercise while packaging tours. While selling the tours, you may face such questions as to what are your alternate or contingency plans for meeting the failure of any service that is offered in the package. For example, there might be flight cancellation, there might be visa cancellation of the traveler, or their airport taxes might have increased. So you must always, as a tour operator, have a contingency plan with you. This is important, and it shows how professional you are. Hence, it is necessary that the pace of operations, contingency plans, and controls are decided at the initial stage itself. Now, second function is costing a tour package. How do tour operators make money when they are doing a costing? So the two major methods here are increasing markup or either making savings through buying power. So important terms in costing a package we'll discuss just now are markup, buying power, net rate, gross rate, profit, and margin. Markup. What is markup? In order to ensure that we make up a profit, we must first be aware of the total cost of the ingredients of the package of our company, and we must add a markup to that total. A markup is the extra amount. It could be anything XYZ which a company would like to keep. If we give a markup, if we have a markup which is too high because we are too greedy, or we keep a markup which is too less, in both cases it would be loss of business, because the tourist will find out from the competitors, and your share would go to the competitor who would be selling it at less price. Or if you are selling it at too less the cost, you would not be able to survive in your business. So you have to keep a very decent markup. Normally you have to take such a decision where you are ensuring that the markup is, you are not at a loss also, or you are not also making too much of money out of the tourists. So you must maintain a balance, and you are also able to cover your cost. So this is the markup. So buying power, we may also be able to increase the amount we make on each tour group by working to reduce the price at which we buy the services. So this has the effect of increasing our margin without increasing the price at which we must sell to the clients. We are in a good position to negotiate in this way when we are able to give our suppliers, such as hotel, a lot of business which we may have gathered from many wholesalers, or when we are able to persuade our clients to travel to a destination at unpopular times, off-season times of the year. So basically, you must have a good negotiation power with your principal supplier. As much as you buy at a less price, the more price you could, the less price you could also pass on to the client, and that could mean voluminous business for you. Next point is net rate. So this is the price which a supplier charges us and which he wants to be paid by us. So we are free to add any amount of markup to it before passing it on to a client. The net rate is always kept absolutely confidential to us, and the client must have no idea to the extent of the markup. Obviously, that is your own call. Net rate is the amount which the supplier is quoting you. So that is net to net cost, which is coming to him and he is giving to you. So on that you will add a markup. So competitors may receive net rates from the same supplier and will probably have different markups. So you also, as I said, you have to be always aware of what all markups your competitors are also coming up with. Sometimes you might be charging too high, and that means the business may go to your client. Or if you are charging too high, then you must have a good reason to sound to the tourists that maybe you are giving a high quality service or whatever. So you must have valid reasons for charging high from the client. Then we discuss the gross rate, which is the rate which a supplier quotes. It includes an amount expressed as a percentage of the gross rate for us. The hidden part for us is usually known as commission. All of these figures are kept confidential to the travel trade. Clients are well aware that everyone is making money, but they are never permitted to know the exact details. Likewise, profit and margin, these are the other concepts. Profit is what a company hopes to have left out at the end of the year after all the bills have been paid, including the taxes. Profit is not the same as markup. However, it should be noted that the many travel companies call the amount they have made on the profit on the file and not markup on the file. So this is technically incorrect, but this is also common practice. Likewise, margin, it is much the same as a markup, but whereas markup tends to be expressed as a percentage, margin tends to be an amount expressed in the form of money. So what are the ways tour operator can reduce costs? Sometimes you will cost your tour and find that the selling price is too high for your client. It is not always possible to cut the margin or try to negotiate a lower buying price. You can try a number of alternatives in that case. Sometimes maybe because the price the supplier is not quoting you is very high, the price which you want is less, but he is quoting you high, or maybe you are not able to charge high from the client, he's not able to give you. So you have to be very flexible in approach. In that case, you have to be very decisive and you have to be very smart. You have to take a smart move. Maybe you could reduce the number of nights, you could change the meal plan of the client. You could maybe from the American plan, you could bring him to European plan or continental plan, or you could reduce the included sightseeing or activities, or maybe you could use a cheaper hotel accommodation or cheaper airline, whatever. Issuing vouchers is the third function. Vouchers, sometimes also called as exchange orders, are documents which are issued by travel businesses. They serve instead of endless letters and can be used for making reservations, confirming reservations, and guarantee payment. Instead of writing a lengthy booking letter, sending a deposit check or cash, then writing a confirmation letter and sending another check or more cash, a voucher can be written. This saves time, effort, and removes the risk of escorts and other staff carrying large amounts of cash. Because vouchers are promises to pay, they are countable documents and must be treated like tickets or cash. They must be carefully secured and stock controlled. There are different types of vouchers which can be used for a variety of purposes. Typically, these will include hotel bookings, meal breaks on tours, meal vouchers, transport vouchers, guide and representative vouchers, entrance fees to attractions, tolls for roads, bridges or mountain passes, hiring of equipment for sports and activities, and many other services. Vouchers are usually printed in sets of 4 or more copies, and the distribution of the copies is maybe as follows: like an office client file copy, maybe the number 1 client copy which he or she presents to hotels for the service on arrival. Hotel copy goes in advance of client to act as confirmation of phone booking. Accounts department copy, some companies may have used for 5th or more copies. To sum up, a voucher is a promise to pay for a service someone promises to provide. When you issue a voucher, you should keep a record of the voucher number and the client file it belongs to in a stock record book, as well as keeping a copy of the voucher in the account and client's files. Some companies work on photocopied vouchers. These are cheap and easy to produce but have the disadvantage that they are easy to copy and so are open to fraud. Some modern computer reservations and ticketing systems can print and number their own vouchers, which is less open to fraud and the cheaper than going on to an outside printer. Vouchers must be issued accurately and completed in all aspects. So, with this, we have just accomplished who is a tour operator. I'm sure you must be now clear about who is a tour operator, how to set up a tour company, what are the considerations before you set up a tour company, and what are the various functions. Number 1, the product packaging and designing. Number 2 was costing a package. Number 3 was issuing of vouchers. Thank you.